A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there is unrest in the Galactic Senate. Several thousand solar systems have declared their intentions to leave the Republic. This separatist movement, under the leadership of the mysterious Count Dooku, has made it difficult for the limited number of Jedi Knights to maintain peace and order in the galaxy. Senator Amidala, the former Queen of Naboo, is returning to the Galactic Senate to vote on the critical issue of creating an army of the Republic to assist the overwhelmed Jedi. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The views expressed therein are solely those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of their employers. Hello there, and welcome back to 6 Degrees of Star Wars, the podcast where we explore all the ways George Lucas's flagship franchise surrounds us, binds us, and penetrates us in the landscape of cinema. I'm your host, Sam Marchioni. Joining me today, Jasmine Garcia.
And now it's time for the Padme Amidala Thirstcast.
And Ella Cesare.
Misa bustin' with happiness seeing Yusa again. Misa accept this guest spot with muy humility.
Ahmed Best, I'm so sorry, and I hope you're doing well.
I'm sorry too.
Yes, we wish you nothing but the best, sir.
Nothing but the
Even
Ahmed
if we are
best.
going to make fun of Jar Jar just a little bit.
As a treat.
It's not your fault, Jar Jar. It wasn't your fault. We are here on this most hallowed day of May the 4th to talk about the next Degree Zero, the middle chapter of the infamous prequel trilogy, Attack of the Clones. Episode 2, or as my mom calls it, Episode 5, because my mom is a stickler for chronological order. And I'm like, Mom, you have no leg to stand on. You had me read The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe before I read The Magician's Nephew.
Oh, it could be
In
episode
fairness, that was the one that
II.
was published first.
Yeah, but then she gave me a book set in chronological order, and I'm like, wait, why isn't The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe first? So if I'm not allowed to be upset about that, she's not allowed to be upset about the Star Wars prequels.
You got me there.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I'm actively on record on this podcast or not, but this is kind of low-key my favorite, at least of the prequels. I have complicated feelings on how I rate the 9 films of the Skywalker saga, because, you know,
Likewise.
after 7 we just get into so much rubbing of the heads.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, this is my least favorite of all of the Skywalker saga.
And I think that's the majority opinion. Well, I mean, I guess barring episode 9, I guess that kind of overtook it for a lot of people, but
Phantom Menace, I think, tends to get more crap than
Interesting,
this
'cause
one, and I don't think that's
I
fair.
think Phantom Menace gets crap mostly because that it has more of Jar Jar, and it also has the equally unfairly maligned Jake Lloyd, and it's like, leave them alone!
Yes, yeah, 9-year-old Anakin, sucks, but Jake Lloyd's just a regular person.
Doesn't suck, he's just a little guy! He's just
That's what I'm saying.
little
Jake
guy!
Lloyd's a little guy. Anakin's not real. We can't hurt his feelings.
That is true.
Let's just put it in the right place. But no, I'm glad you broached the subject of Attack of the Clones potentially being your favorite prequel, because I think it might be mine too, and that's a hard thing to say, because I mean there's this Simpsons gag where Lenny and Carl are lightsaber fighting with plutonium rods, and one of them's just, I say Phantom Menace sucked more. Well, I say Attack of the Clones sucked more. And I think that's kind of been the internal monologue every time. It's like my least favorite prequel is whichever one I watched most recently. And Revenge of the Sith obviously has a lot of great stuff going for it, but I did, topical, did just see that in theaters. And it struck me, for as, well done as some of the drama in that is, and for as amazing as Ian McDiarmid is in that, it's very static, and I think Attack of the Clones, for as much as is wrong with it, does have a certain kinetic energy that I appreciate. It's so much of Revenge of the Sith is just a room in Coruscant and then a different room in Coruscant, and characters either sitting or walking. And obviously that's a widespread problem with the prequels, but I think this one suffers from it the least, probably.
I mean, I think that might be because this movie kind of feels like, for a lot of it, it's 2 movies, which
is kind of a running thing in Star Wars movies in general. It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Right, and
especially
middle chapters.
with the second entry.
Yeah, I was gonna say middle chapters especially. Yeah, they sort of split off on their own.
Yeah, so like we start off with the first episode in a trilogy. It's gonna be as close to a remake of The Hidden Fortress as you can get away with, and a beloved mentor figure is going to die at the end of it. The second movie, we're going to split the party, and one person's gonna be on like this more warrior-oriented journey, and the other two are going to be going through some interpersonal conflict together, and a Skywalker is going to lose an arm. And then the third movie, we have to resolve everything that's been set up in the first two movies in
and
some
Palpatine's
way.
there.
Somehow Palpatine is there.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, and there's like this Twitter meme going around of like, you know, characters A and B having like a grounded emotional thing, and then character C subplot on like the wackiest, most out there thing, and people were saying like Todd Chavez on BoJack Horseman. It's like, yeah, that's kind of Obi-Wan in this. Like Anakin and Padme are off on their romance, and Obi-Wan's like, I have tracked the bounty hunter Jango Fett like to the
Why are you sending
Camino.
that message in the rain, Obi-Wan?
Because it looks cool.
I can't get reception inside.
Yeah, so if we look at this as, like, George Lucas playing with his toys and doing his favorite things, he's taking his Obi-Wan doll and he's doing, like, his 1940s noir nostalgia thing.
Exactly.
And then he's
exactly
taking
what
his
it is.
Anakin and Padme Barbies and is reenacting courtly love of, like, Lancelot and Guinevere and Romeo and Juliet. Jazz, does this count as a Romeo and Juliet thing if their love theme is literally called Across the Stars?
I will have to get back to you on
I mean,
that.
it's a
I need to
forbidden
do some
thing,
research.
I guess.
I could see the argument.
It's very
yes. Or at the
Italian, you know?
Or at the very least, again, further reason why we definitely need to do some more Shakespeare Star Wars stuff on my pod.
Yeah. Well, I assume you've read all those Shakespearean books of the Star Wars.
Oh,
I forget what they're called.
And, you know, reading the prequels as Shakespearean novels, you're like, oh, this doesn't seem stupid now.
Right, yes.
I'm sure it fits a lot better. It's just like, George Lucas can't write dialogue. We know this. We've been knew this. And even if he could write dialogue, he's very bad at directing people to say him in a natural way. We know somewhere out there are takes of Hayden and Natalie especially saying their lines in a much more natural fashion, and they were advised not to do that.
Yeah, Lucas was like,
And
what
that
was
pisses
that?
me
Come
off.
on, guys, pull it together.
And they improvised a lot of that stuff. Like, the aggressive negotiations line that shows up
And
in the
that's
dinner
awesome.
scene, improvised.
And that moment where
And it ends
he
up
pranks,
paying off. It's so good.
where he does the fake out on Padme by pretending to fall off the thing, and then he flips
Oh my
over
God,
and he's
that's
laughing.
so
It's like, that's
fucking
actual
cute.
emotion on his face. Wow, that was interesting. Can we run that back,
Yeah,
George?
no, it,
He's
well-
cramming his G.I. Joe into Barbie's Corvette, and then they drive off and go, mwah, 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 mwah.
really not his Ken. I feel like Hayden looks more like a Ken.
Yeah, Hayden's a Ken, yeah, that's true. The G.I.
But
Joes
George
are
wouldn't
being
buy a
grown
Ken
in
because
this
he's
one.
still grappling with some toxic masculinity.
Oh,
You got me
clearly
there.
more than some, yes. I mean, the first note that I have is, there was no danger at all. Cue Always Sunny in Philadelphia theme. There is
Yeah.
lots of
Yeah,
danger.
I was about to say, why would you jinx that, Captain Eye Patch?
Okay,
Look,
his
hey,
name
he's
is
no
Captain
Panaka.
Typho, Captain Gregor Typho. Put some respect on
Sorry.
it.
I'm just saying, Panaka
sorry.
would not have tempted fate like this. He probably would have just made a lot of criticisms at everyone else in the room.
No, according to other materials, he would have sold out Anakin and Padme and gotten a cushy job as a Moff.
Is that what they did with
Man.
him?
That's what they did with him.
That's so funny, because, like, isn't it the behind-the-scenes reason he's not there is because the actor asked for a lot more money, and they didn't give it to him, so now they're just like, all right, you're a villain now. You're a bad guy now.
Sam from the editing room here. I was looking up whether I could corroborate Ella's story with, journalism or anything, and I found something on the footnotes in Wikipedia that says the reason Quarshi dropped out of Attack of the Clones was because the producers would not give him access to the full script and would only let him read the scenes that he was in. Like, I don't think that that's an unreasonable request, especially given how Marvel now handles giving scripts to its actors, but his career seems to be going okay, so I'm glad that you're doing well, Hugh Quarshie, and I'm sorry Lucasfilm did you dirty.
That's so petty.
I wonder if that's what happened with Keira Knightley, too, because all respect to the actress playing Corday after she gets blown up, Veronica Segura, but, like, I kind of feel like this death would have meant more if it were Sabé who had died.
Probably,
Yeah,
but she
that's
had a
super
pirate
fair.
movie to make, so...
Yeah, exactly. It was probably more of a scheduling thing than a money thing, because Keira Knightley hadn't quite blown up just
I'm
yet.
not sure if it would have been the
but she-
pirate movie she was making at the time. She might have been making the Robin Hood's OC daughter movie at the time.
Oh, interesting.
Also possible. 2002, yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, I guess 2002 is when it was released, because I remember that Pirates of the Caribbean had a really fast turnaround, so yeah, I guess you're right.
And this has been pointed out, countless times, but it'll never not be funny. I failed you, Senator. No, this is actually literally in your job description. You did great, man. Like, keep up the good
yeah.
work. Oh, that doesn't make me feel better, Senator.
I mean, I would have liked this even more if there had maybe been, some payoff for it, because I shared the deleted scenes with you guys. I don't know if we got the chance to watch them all, but there's literally a scene of the Senate where they're being like, it's so sad to announce that Senator Amidala was assassinated because somebody blowed her up, and then Padme shows up in this bitchin' outfit being like, the rumors of my death were greatly exaggerated, and do not fucking vote for a Military Creation Act. That's just going to make things worse, you idiots.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Palpy would be quick to jump on the, she's dead, sometimes I can still hear her voice, she's dead, anyway, all for the Military Creation Act, yes.
Yep, and so that's when we set off the chain of, go kill Padme. Well, I don't want to do it, you go kill Padme.
Yeah,
I mean, it's... You go kill Padme.
Again, it's a point that's been made, but yeah, the Sith hiring the Sith, hiring the bounty hunter, hiring the robot, hiring the bugs. Peak. And if you want to get technical, later they hire 3 other monsters to do it in a gladiatorial arena.
God. Honestly, I really do love the arena scene because it's one of the most naturalistic points.
I completely agree. I mean, I made a specific note that it's like, it feels like classic, Harryhausen-esque kind of adventure serial shit. I mean, obviously, aside from the CG being a little garish, I mean, this movie looks bad, but,
I disagree. I think for its time, it looks really, really good, and honestly, even by today's standards, there's stuff in this that I think looks better than a lot of current modern stuff. Like,
that's 100% true, yeah.
I'm not saying that I dislike it, because I actually am one of the people who does like Thor Love and Thunder, but, like, I will admit the visual effects in that have suffered a lot from, Marvel's heinous turnaround and constant whims of changing stuff. So, at the very least, you always know that with a George Lucas movie, he's letting people play with the toys.
That's true. He does love playing with toys. Maybe it's just that I had just come off of seeing Revenge of the Sith in theaters that at that, resolution, and now seeing, Yoda looks considerably rubberier in this one than he does in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Which I guess makes sense, because, originally he was rubber.
Yeah, and yet he still looks more lifelike. Go figure. With that said, this is definitely probably my favorite of Yoda in the prequel trilogy, just because we get to get that brief moment of him clearly enjoying teaching the younglings. Like, that was cute.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then he enjoys warmongering, I guess.
Yeah, for that whole, we're keepers of the peace, not soldiers, the Jedi sure as fuck fell quickly into being soldiers.
They love being soldiers. They were ready.
That's kind of the whole thing. Like, it's something that a lot of people didn't really appreciate when these movies came out at the time. That's, like, one thing I will defend them on. It's like, no, it's good that we actually saw that the Jedi, at the height of their powers, kind of sucked, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
We're having this whole conversation about how the Jedi have become too arrogant, and then at the end of the movie, nah, there's no way Dooku was telling the truth about a Sith being in charge of the Senate. That's just crazy.
And Yoda's all, oh, not victory, begun the Clone War. You started the Clone War, man.
I mean, technically the Clone Wars hasn't started yet. It's in the first release in theaters and then on the
that's
Cartoon
right.
Network
Unless
for a while.
but Clone Wars, that'll be way sooner. That'll be a micro series that airs in like a year or so.
Yes, with the C-3PO striptease.
Of course, and Anakin eating live bugs.
God, I'm scared.
Speaking of Anakin, our boy comes out the gate fumbling, and I love that for him.
I love that for him so much. Like, I know everybody gives Anakin, and by extension Hayden Christensen, so much shit for being, like, whiny and monotone. I'm like, I'm sorry. This 19-year-old has spent the last 10 years of his life in a monastic order that doesn't teach him how to deal with his fucking emotions, especially not the emotions associated with puberty. How did you think he was going to act?
Yeah, no, actually, upon this watch, I was like, you know what, Hayden? No. People were just mad that you were semi-realistic as a dumbass teenage boy.
Yeah, the stilted, awkward dialogue works perfectly in a scene that is meant to be awkward, when he's like, oh, you've grown, more beautiful, I mean. And you can just hear a pin drop in the apartment.
For a senator. For a senator.
For a senator, yeah, I mean, if you're into that kind of thing.
It's like, baby boy. Baby.
This might just be my take on it, but I see it, his whole, Annie, my goodness, you've grown, as being like, oh no, he's hot now, and he's still into me.
Oh,
cover it up,
yeah,
cover it up.
yeah.
You'll always be that little boy I knew on Tatooine.
Yeah. No, it's 100% that.
You're like a little brother to
even
me,
think that's a
Annie.
take.
Not that stops anyone in this universe.
Oh!
They didn't know, okay?
Luke didn't know. No one knew.
Nobody knew.
That's so fair. That's so fair. Speaking similarly, immediately comes out the gate, drama with Obi-Wan, and you just see Jar Jar's reaction shots to all this when he's just immediately like, we will find who's trying to kill you, Padme, and he's just like, no, we're not going to do that.
Poor Obi-Wan is such a single dad / eldest brother. It's just, you were not equipped for this, Obi-Wan. I am very sorry. But also, I wonder why Anakin found himself drawn to Palpatine. It's not like Palpatine isn't the only person in this fucking universe that seems to encourage him at this point.
Yeah. And this movie does make me appreciate Obi-Wan a lot, even though, a lot of it is way more subtextual than it probably should be, thanks to the dialogue, but... we see Obi-Wan initially, he's kind of reassuring Anakin that, like, she was happy to see you, and then in the elevator, he's like, just breathe, calm down. Like, he understands what's going on. He's just kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt.
He's trying.
He's a wingman without necessarily realizing it, but then, you get the flip side of that, which is when he steps into this master mode, and we see him trying to be a good master as Qui-Gon wanted, but it just kind of manifests as all these lectures and scoldings because he has a Padawan's understanding of masterhood. He's like, all right, these guys are really probably much closer in age than most masters and apprentices, I would imagine. So he's like, I can't be this guy's buddy. I can't be his friend. I have to be his teacher because that's what my teacher wanted. So, but he comes down too hard as a consequence because he doesn't really. It's an awkward position for him to be in.
And again, it's almost like this is a monastic order that doesn't teach you how to deal with your feelings.
Yes, yeah.
I think that nobody in Star Wars actually knows how to deal with their feelings, because Padme's pretty fucking bad at it.
True.
We talk so much about child soldiers in different phases of Star Wars. I don't think we put enough focus on child politicians.
Yeah.
We really should, because, like, what the hell? I know, Sam, at one point you pointed out, like, there was, in one of the novels, there was, like, an explanation of why they elect literal children.
Yeah, I have explained some of Naboo's political system, but it is fucking weird at a lot of points, and it's like, why didn't we just keep Padme the queen? Because George has a point he wants to make about politics.
I think as a kid, before I kind of caught the dialogue about electing the queen, I had assumed that someone had died and she inherited, the way that
normal monarchies work.
do.
Yeah. The way normal monarchies work, and that was where the pressure came from. But no, that would have made too much direct sense, I suppose. And
what pisses me off about that scene is that there was a line cut that matters so much, where Padme says, "Popular rule is not democracy. It gives the people what they want rather than what they need."
Yeah.
Gee, That's not at all relatable.
No. Nor is, I mean, as much as Anakin is, wrong for saying it, sometimes I get it. Sometimes I do just want to be like, hey, look, if you can't understand the point I'm trying to make here, can somebody just make this guy agree, please? Can somebody just force this guy to agree?
Honestly, in the years since I first watched that scene, I kind of feel like that was also Anakin trying to save face and make himself seem smart. Because do you ever, argue with a person who's, way more knowledgeable and they rhetorically back you into a corner? Well, if it works.
Yeah, and in fairness, I think he was genuinely I think part of him does believe it because, as a very wise Tumblr user pointed out, yeah, of course he's gonna kind of think that way. He spent most of his life as a slave, and then under the Jedi Order, where he basically had to follow orders there. That's really kind of all he knows.
Also, he's being groomed by an aspiring dictator.
But also, I do think to a certain extent he was trying to see what she would say.
He was definitely kind of testing the waters there. I think for as much as, our country is gerrymandered to hell and back and manipulated and all that stuff, it is sometimes you just see the raw voting numbers and you're just like, if it works, can we force people to see my point of view?
Can we maybe stop the 50+% of white women from doing this to us?
If I were an authoritarian dictator, it'd be fine because I'm right. It'd be fine.
Yeah.
God, that's not dangerous at all.
I know it's dangerous, but I'm right.
There is also something that I've kind of noticed this in the past because I am an Anakin Skywalker fan. Not as deeply as I am a Padme Amidala fan, but Anakin's love language in this movie is so clearly acts of service.
No, of course.
Padme says, I want to know who's trying to kill me, and he's like, okay, yes, we'll find out who's trying to kill you.
Mm-hmm. The simpiest of simps, and I do kind of love him for
Anakin Simpwalker.
Except when it's, hey, stop looking at me like that, it makes me uncomfortable.
Okay,
red flags.
Again, that's dumb teenage boy behavior.
It's dumb teenage boy behavior, and it's also George not knowing how to direct humans.
Yeah, similar to the, I don't think she liked me watching her.
Yeah, see, I think if they just changed it to, I don't think she liked us watching her, immediately less creepy.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. God.
Every time a line like that happens, I have to wonder if that was a Carrie Fisher editorial, because...
Possibly, I could see it.
I don't know if it's urban legend or if it's actually true that Carrie script doctored the prequels, but...
It wouldn't surprise me.
No, it wouldn't.
But also, I will say, it really is such a shame how so much of their bonding comes off as so awkward, because Natalie and Hayden have very good chemistry, actually.
Yeah.
In spite of that.
That's true.
I think they even dated at one point.
I think you're right. I remember hearing about that.
Now, my personal headcanon for the rat tail, if I may go on a brief tangent. I know there's a
Go
whole
for it.
I know there's a canon thing about it, that's explained in books and such, but I mean, in my mind, that's just Jedi hazing. That's just to demoralize the youngsters.
I mean, they don't have very much fun, so
yeah.
There was a point when Obi-Wan in Phantom Menace was going to have the rat tail, but he was also going to have very floofy hair.
Oh.
I don't think it's the rat tail that makes it as bad as it is. It's the fact that everything else is buzzed.
I think that's it, yeah. I mean, that also kind of, again, that kind of intentionally or otherwise plays into the child soldier aspect, no? I think the buzz cut, that whole thing.
I mean, if there's one thing Lucas is actually typically intentional about, it is his political commentary, so...
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and sometimes very unsubtle, but that's why it surprises me when it is subtle.
Some anvils need to be dropped.
No, I agree. No, I don't agree with subtlety as a concept.
Awesome. Love that.
Rewatching this and getting hit over the head again and again with the techno unions and the Trade Federation being the bad guys, I'm doing the math and I'm like, how old was Brennan Lee Mulligan when this movie came out?
Yeah.
He's only a little bit older than us, right?
He was born in 1988, so extrapolate from that what you will, but...
So yeah, 3 years older than me.
But, I can absolutely see him in the theater, and even if he's criticizing stuff like this, I can see the little parts of his brain going, capitalism is the bad guy. Capitalism is the bad guy. I shall make this the cornerstone of all my D&D campaigns going forward.
The banking clan will sign your treaty. I love that line read. I don't know why. And then we get the, the techno.
Again, space wizard movie for children.
Yeah, it's great.
But also,
it's great.
As much as we love Ian McDiarmid for being able to expertly chew on the scenery, I gotta give him props for the times when he's actually kind of being a little subtle in terms of when he's pretending to be a good paternal figure to Anakin specifically. If you didn't know this guy was the bad guy, you might not have guessed from his interactions with Anakin.
Yeah.
I think he only interacts with Anakin, once in this.
Yeah, but it's a really effective scene, I think.
Yeah, because he's actually, listening to Anakin about his concerns about his mother, and he's being like, finally, the Jedi are recognizing your talents, and I know you're going to do well at this.
Right.
He's being the wise wizard figure almost.
Yeah. And again, he's the opposite of Obi-Wan, where, if Obi-Wan is like, eat your vegetables, Palpatine is like, here, have a candy.
You can have a little candy as a treat.
Yeah.
He's being the fun
He
parent.
is, yeah, he's the fun parent. So we're going to Disneyland today.
Do you want to ride Smuggler's Run, Anakin?
Yes, they have new scenes with the Mandalorian and Grogu. And then, Obi-Wan's like, no, it's a school night. He's got to be back by 9. Now they're divorced dads. He's got to be back by 9.
God.
That fanfiction definitely exists.
Oh no. Can we talk about the number of actors that we are continuing to get who are absolute bangers and then doing nothing with them?
Rose Byrne?
Rose Byrne, yes, but also my beloved space dad, Jimmy Smits.
True,
Of course.
And Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, no, this baby Joel Edgerton is crazy.
At least they got the Kenobi series to come back for.
Yeah, no, and he absolutely ruled in that. Good on you, Joel Edgerton. You made me interested in Owen Lars.
And good on you too, Jimmy Smits. I'm glad when you get to do stuff.
I've said it before, he has played the father of 3 of my favorite characters, and I just think that's
Oh, wow.
neat. Yep, because Leia, Nina Rosario the Barrios Best, and Amy Santiago.
I love that. I mean, I realize, people don't view droids very, with much individuality in this universe, but it is very funny to me that Owen does not later recognize, hey, that's the same, blabbermouthed, kind of gay-seeming protocol droid that I encountered. Because also, what's a protocol droid doing on Tatooine? He's like, I have no need for a protocol droid. Actually, now that I think about it, there was one working here some years ago.
Well, I mean, in that case, Shmi brought it with him. It's like, no, you don't understand. This is the stray cat that Anakin was feeding, and Anakin's going to come back for it someday.
We're pair-bonded, you see. Yeah, just like Anakin's gonna come back for me someday, right?
Oh, God.
Right?
Oh, God.
I love that he's like, I don't know why I keep dreaming about her. Well, probably because for all you know, she's still enslaved, and nobody's even suggested going back to free her in the 10 years since you left.
And that pisses me off to no end. It's like the Jedi could have done something, and they didn't. But again,
And there's
the whole point is that they suck.
Again, there's EU material about this stuff, but do we get to have it? No.
No. It would have been so
course
great to bring
not.
up here, because that could have been a direct, point of resentment for Anakin for the Jedi Order,
100% would have been very again, when you really lay it out, it's like, okay, yeah, no, Anakin, I kind of see where you're coming from here.
Exactly.
And that's always the best thing about these kinds of character arcs. It's almost a cliche to joke about how we now have 3 major franchises that have the really cool female character falling in love with the literal devil, basically. And a future fascist dictator.
Sure.
And part of what makes it interesting is that I see where you're coming from. You're not wrong. You're just an asshole about it.
Well, and then they go way too far with, the
Exactly.
Tusken Raider stuff. When it's what if, I had this thought, what if instead of that, it was Watto or something? What if he killed someone who, it was a controlled kind of kill? Or maybe if he was the one to kill Django instead of Mace Windu, that could have been a thing, where it's it's a dip into darkness.
Yeah, not total genocide. And maybe don't have him tell Padme, because that's definitely the part where I'm just like, no, Padme, you can. There's
because then
no
later on,
reason for you to go back to him.
Because then later on, when Obi-Wan's like, I saw a security hologram of him killing younglings, and Padme's like, oh yeah, he does that sometimes.
Okay, so
that's just one of his quirks.
I have a massive soapbox to get on this, and it kind of comes in 2 parts. So the first part is there was a version of the script where this was addressed more thoroughly. Annie, what's wrong?
I killed them. I killed them all. They're dead. Every single one of them.
Anakin focuses on her like someone returning from far away.
Not just the men, but the women and the children too. They're like animals, and I slaughter them like animals. I hate them!
There is silence for a moment, then Anakin breaks down, sobbing. Padme takes him into her arms.
Why do I hate them? I didn't. I couldn't control myself. I don't want to hate them. I just can't forgive them.
To be angry is to be human.
To control your anger is to be a Jedi.
Shh. You're human.
No! I'm a Jedi. I know I'm better than this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You're like everyone else. Padme rocks him, and Anakin weeps. Yeah, so I think that was part of how Padme could, like, compartmentalize it, and she's like, oh, he knows what he did was wrong. He just doesn't understand how to handle this.
Moment of weakness, yeah.
He needs somebody, like, to help him right now and to ground him. So I think that's part of it.
That would have helped, yeah.
The other thing is that I don't think we give enough credit to the reality that in universe, whether you want to call them the Tuskens or the Sand People, because I've seen like material saying actually Tusken is the slur and Sand People is what they're actually called.
Wow.
Either way,
I don't know. I've never met one, so I have no idea.
I would like to point out that up until that one flash of some children playing in that encampment, they were so utterly othered and dehumanized, and in part that is its own terrible can of worms, but in the universe itself, within the world of the narrative, Padme has never met one in person. She doesn't really have a frame of reference for them. She is also coming from a colonizer background, lest we forget that the Naboo colonized their planets and the Gungans are the indigenous people. But, like, she's also... Her main points of reference are the times they were shooting at Anakin during a pod race, and now she's coming to Tatooine and being told they kidnapped a woman a month ago. A whole party of people went out to find her, only 4 came back. One of them has lost a leg and is actively calling them vicious, mindless monsters.
Yeah, 2 separate people call them animals, so I guess she kind of interpreted that literally.
And I suppose in fairness, you know, we definitely know that she quite cared about Shmi and was actually quite concerned about her enslavement back during Phantom Menace, so...
Well, not that concerned, though, you know?
I mean, she was a child.
She was a child, and also she didn't have any means of freeing Shmi, remember? Because Republic credits are no good.
The Republic doesn't exist out here.
But, like...
Yeah, that's true.
Padme is kind to a fault a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is also the point that she's in love with him. She's been in love with him
at that point,
the entire
she's
movie, and
saying,
you know, rose-tinted glasses, you don't see the red flags.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super fair. That's super fair. I still think we definitely needed that more expansion because it would have flowed much more naturally to the one part that actually really got to me, where she's just like, to be angry is to be human. He's just like, I am a Jedi. I need to be better than this. And I'm just like, boy, if that isn't my internal monologue.
Yeah, no, I like a lot of that stuff
is
great, where it's, you know, you're not all powerful. Well, I should be, you know, like that kind of expectation.
Not to dip too much back into Revenge, the reason why I still believe she's like, he couldn't, when Obi-Wan's like, I saw him killing younglings. I think Padme's thinking like, I saw him on the worst day of his life, and everything about that moment made me think he was never gonna want to go back to a place that dark.
Yeah.
Because he was sobbing, and this time when I was watching it, I kind of realized he's not just saying he hates them, he hates himself.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
My poor little boy.
He
My
hates
poor
that he wasn't
little
able to
murderous
do anything
boy.
sooner, yeah.
You didn't stand a chance, Annie. I'm so sorry.
It's just so weird that they never even touch on the failed promise of, like, I will come back to free you, you know? Like, they just never... They don't have a throwaway line of, like, yeah, but then, you know, the Jedi made me do these trials. They said I couldn't, you know...
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't touch on that, and I'm sure Padme has her own regrets about it, too. I think that would have been a really good bonding moment for them.
Yeah, that's one of the things that E.K. Johnston's Queen's trilogy was dealing with, was that after Padme stopped being queen and was appointed to be senator, she sent Sabay and Captain Tonra to Tatooine, and they were trying to free slaves, and they were looking for Shmi. They didn't find Shmi, but they also realized, wait, shit, if I just pay slavers money to buy and free enslaved people, they're gonna put that money back into the slave market and enslave more people. We have to think smarter about this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Capitalism is the bad guy.
Yeah. It's, and I could have also had an interesting thread with, how the Larses react to all of this, the knowledge that there is this, allegedly, this angel, virgin birth son out there who's gonna like, they might have thought that she was making him up, They might have thought that, like, I had this child out of nowhere, and he left to be a Jedi, and he's gonna come back and free me. They're just like, okay, Shmi, all right. Yeah, that's great.
I think the existence of Anakin would have kind of been well documented, given that he won
He did win the pod race,
500.
yeah, that's true. But then, there could be this resentment of, like, oh, well, here you are now, and that, again, plays into the line in, the original film of just like, I'm afraid he's gonna turn out like Anakin, because they view him as this kind of unstable, obviously, aside from the Vader stuff, which obviously they knew about, but
there's definitely the sense that we should have seen Anakin and Owen talking more, because Owen was clearly so deeply affected by what happened to him, and it's just like, you met what?
I guess I'm your stepbrother? Question mark.
There's no, did we just become best friends? Yes.
Yeah.
That could have been so cute if they just had some kind of reason to instantly bond.
Oh, you mean like if Anakin had any friends? Yeah, that would have been interesting.
Or if we got to see Padme with her family, because there were those scenes as well.
And it would have paralleled this one, where this is kind of the only family that Anakin has at this point, and it's this weird, traumatized desert family.
And then they just left behind, but Lilo and Stitch taught me nobody gets left behind.
Or forgotten.
And considering what they briefly touched on about how they had built this happy family life, I would have liked to see some of that. George, why are you allergic to natural human interaction?
Yeah.
That's also something I really noticed for the first time watching this movie, is a lot of the problems I think are coming from pauses. Because George will have us come into a scene, and there's this stretch of silence, and then they started talking, even though the conversation should be in media res.
Yeah, there's definitely that.
The lack of urgency, which is painfully present in Revenge of the Sith, because there's literally the scene where it's like, we must move quickly, and then they walk off stage to confront Palpatine, and Anakin runs into the Chancellor's office and then slows down to a walk as he approaches the dying Palpatine and Mace Windu.
But I think the place where it sticks out the most to me is that fireside scene where Padme looks uncomfortably like a dominatrix, if in some ways, but also I really love the design element of that necklace, because it looks like a hand choking her.
Oh no.
Yes.
Foreshadowing.
Oh no.
Foreshadowing.
Ugh.
Waka waka.
But no, it's just... And it's just Padme, why are you and it's
she had no back in that one scene.
Yeah, it's it's not a unique joke. It's just Padme, maybe if you're trying to discourage him from having feelings for you, maybe we need to reconsider the wardrobe a little bit.
People say backless dress, but that's a backless dress.
I remember reading a description George wanted a dress that looked like it would fall off if she sneezed. Mission accomplished!
George, you're weird! Between that and the no bras in space thing, you are a weird man, Mr. Lucas.
But I do think there's some meta level to the costuming, because Padme as a senator, she's very covered up, her hair's scraped up in these tight styles that are very questionable at sometimes. George, why did you give her afro-textured hair for that one scene?
Which scene is that?
So that scene where she comes in and her hair's in that golden cone thing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If you look at the texture of the hair on her scalp, it looks I don't know curl patterns that well, because my hair is incredibly straight and only really gets flippies if I go to bed with my hair wet.
Padme is a walking example of what not to do when it comes to cultural appropriation versus appreciation. We know
the one I like, I think, is the that very pastoral, like, again, I guess it's kind of foreshadowing Leia, you know, that goes up in
the
those
yellow
buns.
picnic dress.
Yeah, which I have a note that's just, the hills are alive, because she literally does that at one point.
Except Ewan's not in that scene.
Yeah, that's true. Nor is Satine in that scene.
Nope. Oh.
No. Satine, you have to be watching the Clone Wars series.
Right.
It's so weird how Ewan McGregor has had two love interests named Satine and two very different
It's weird that it happens
and they
twice.
both die tragically in his arms.
Did the people writing the Clone Wars do that on purpose?
I'm sure
I feel
that
like they must
did.
have.
Yeah, there's a lot of shout-outs like that.
That's cute. That's almost cute. And honestly, when I looked at her design, it's like you couldn't. She doesn't not look like Nicole Kidman at the time.
Okay, but like the point I was trying to make is that when Padme is with Anakin on Naboo and then on Tatooine, she's much more exposed. Like, yes, there's the backless dress, but there's also like the two-piece blue dress that I actually really, really like, but I also like, I kind of feel like George was being like, you see that stomach? Luke and Leia are going to be gestating in that next movie.
I did want to touch on, going back to Obi-Wan, Mr. We shall not exceed our mandate, then, you know, jumping out the fucking window to get the assassin droid.
You will believe a Jedi can fly.
And then he's all, I hate it when he does it when Anakin jumps out of it.
I love that whole sequence, though, because it also just points to the kind of, you know, Lucas's real love will always just be cars, because he just made Star Wars to, you know, talk about how he would drive his car with his dog in the passenger seat. And, you know, it's the most American graffiti moment in any Star Wars movie when he pulls up in that yellow Corvette looking thing and catches Obi-Wan.
I don't know. I think the most American graffiti part might be when he goes to the random 50s diner. And why isn't that at Galaxy's Edge? Why isn't there a Dex's Diner at Galaxy's Edge?
Why can't we have a Dex's Diner?
You were so right, though.
And then when you walk in, the Dex character has to hug you awkwardly with his forearms. He goes,
I'm okay with that.
And
he looks like he gives good hugs.
And why isn't the speeder chase a ride? That speeder chase would make a fucking great roller coaster.
I guess they have it in Star Tours at some point. You're flying through Coruscant, I assume.
I don't know. When I went to Star Tours,
YouTube,
I got one ride where I went through, I think I went through Crate, and then one ride that took me through Naboo, but...
There is a Coruscant thing.
I love the brief, like, I think it's a dog, right? The same species as Sebulba, just goes, Jedi Poodoo, as they fly by, like...
fucking Jedi.
Which is funny to think that only, 30-odd years later, people will be like, Jedi? What? What are you talking about? Like,
well, I mean, we know that misinformation campaigns can, unfortunately, be very effective.
True. And doing the, again, kind of harkening back to our Lilo and Stitch episode, it is bold choice to do this, city planet airspeeder chase the year after 9/11.
Yeah.
Granted,
I guess they're not big vehicles. They're like the size of cars.
They're not big vehicles, and also they're not blowing up any buildings.
No, they're just,
They're just running into a bar and slicing somebody's arm off.
Right, my note here is, I think he is a she, and I think she is a changeling. I think I'd rather you just call me a slur, Anakin.
Oh, God.
I mean, I think changeling might be the actual species name.
Yes.
No, yeah, but take it, if it's just like, I don't know.
Out of context, I could see how that could feel like subtext, yes.
Yeah. Oh, nope, there is a species name. Zam Wessel's species is a Claudite. They are a sentient reptilian species whose members could change shape to impersonate any George!
Did you just say reptilian? Are you kidding me?
Wait, they can impersonate anyone?
George!
You would never know that they can impersonate anyone based on watching this movie. All I've seen is her human form and her kind of homunculus form.
Indeed, but also George!
Wait, I just got what you were saying, yes. Yeah, so this is problematic on multiple levels, and as a Jewish trans woman, I think I'm owed some sum of money from this.
Yeah, George, you have the money. Pay her reparations.
Yeah, I mean, I'll also accept, like, any backlog of Mace Windu action figures or whatever you got. I'm sure there's stuff you're trying to unload. I'll take, like, the tie-in, Padme Amidala makeup kits from the 90s where all the makeup's expired. It's probably, like, dust now. Like, I'll take that.
Oh, God.
You say that I have Padme Amidala perfume sitting in my room right now.
From, like, 99?
Along with the shower gel and, or fragrance mist.
Oh, amazing. Actually, no, you know what, George? I will accept my payment only in Jar Jar tongue popsicles. Please, thank you.
Ella, you could do better.
I think that what I like now about Zam's design is, like, you know, she wears the mask to conceal, like, her identity, even though she's a changeling, but it's actually, no, she's just COVID conscious. She just wears that to, you know, to flatten the curve. We also get the best character in the franchise, of course. I think this name might have been retconned, but he'll always be Elon Sleazebagano to me. They took away my jizz, but they can't take away my Sleazebagano.
Hell yeah.
They did, kind of.
What?
It's now
No!
Elon Selsagbano.
This is, come on, woke Disney.
I guess I'm glad they didn't retcon the Elon part, because we
true.
can make ample jokes, topical jokes about that.
You want to buy a Cybertruck?
Yeah, you don't know what to tell
Exactly.
me, Cybertruck.
But yeah, no, you want to go home and rethink your life is just a regular thing I say to my friends, particularly Odd, because she's the one who introduced me to Star Wars.
Iconic.
Top 3 comedy moments in Star Wars, easily.
I do wish we had more of Zam Wessel, or that maybe, what if instead of including the Fets here at all, it was just Zam Wessel? What if it was just that? What if it was just
Well, then we couldn't have Temuera Morrison. And I love
That's true, and then
Temuera
we'd have
Morrison
too
in this
many.
movie.
Then we'd have too many important women in this movie. You can only really have one.
Oh.
I love that she has a dying breath and she wastes it on like a Huttese insult rather than finishing saying his name. It's so good.
Right?
Because
Crazy.
then we wouldn't have a plot.
Well, because then we wouldn't get Dexter Jetster, so I do understand it on that level. I love the weird fucking POV shot when Kenobi enters the diner, because they rarely do a shot from the POV of a walking, you know, character. I think they did it in Phantom Menace once with C-3PO, and it's a weird shot. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, and they do it here too, where, you know, the waitress is kind of like right up in the camera lens. She's like, someone's here to see you, and then the camera kind of awkwardly turns over to the kitchen window where Dexter is there. You know, surely the whole entirety of the bear is happening back there, but we don't get to see that.
Oh my god, in that scene, Ahmed Best and Anthony Daniels are also in it. Do you want to know what their character names are?
What are their names?
Dare I ask?
Daniel Fatoni and Ahmed Beck.
Good God.
Oh, so they just get to be their own self-inserts. I love that for them.
Yeah,
like
that is kind of cute.
I feel like I did see some... Or wait, is he in the... Are they in the diner, or is he in the... He's in the bar, isn't he?
That's in the club. That's in the club where Anakin and Obi-Wan are chasing
down
down
Anthony Daniels
Zam.
was there, too.
And
That's
also,
so funny.
there is a Matrix fucking Easter egg in there.
What?
The woman in the red dress who, like, briefly checks out Anakin.
My God.
That is Fiona Johnson.
No.
She is the exact same actress as the woman in the red dress from The Matrix.
I'm texting. Hold
beautiful.
on. So my friend Hope and I, we do the Matrix Reclamations podcast. But I'm gonna just send her a voice message right now. Hey Hope, this is Ella. I'm recording a Star Wars podcast right now. Did you know that the woman in the red dress is in Attack of the Clones as a woman in a red dress who checks out Anakin in the nightclub scene?
Oh my god, the galaxy far, far away is just another Matrix simulation.
Yes. I love you, Hope. I'll talk to you later.
You just know there's a fan fiction about that, too.
Especially now that Carrie-Anne Moss is also in Star Wars.
Oh my god.
They can never make me hate you, the Acolyte.
Yeah,
No, of
that's
course
true.
not.
Lawrence Fishburne gives, you know, kind of a Jedi Master vibe, you know. Stop trying to hit me and hit me.
But also, if Lawrence Fishburne enters the Star Wars universe, it's gonna bring back memories of when someone mixed him and Samuel L. Jackson up, and Jackson rightfully called him out.
Well, look, just because he would have done a much better job as the stoic Mace Windu doesn't mean that he is in it.
See, I really like Mace in this movie. Like, I know that Samuel L. Jackson is still being hampered by George Lucas's bad directing, but when Mace shows up in the arena, he's a fucking badass.
Well, yeah, they give him one
right he
cool
is.
line. This party's over. It's a good line. And then the rest of it is... His characterization eludes me. I guess he's supposed to be kind of an ass, but he just comes off as kind of an ass. And I don't understand the intentionality of it.
There's a lot of extra characterization now where I have a unconsiderable amount of friends who are like, actually, Mace Windu would have been the best teacher for Anakin, not Obi-Wan. I'm like, interesting.
I could kind of see that, but he decides to just have a grudge against this kid for the rest of his life.
Imagine beefing with a child.
I don't think it's a
I'm
grudge
kidding.
per se, but like,
There's only one thing worse than a Sith, a child.
we're dealing with so much show don't tell bullshit.
Yeah, a lot of
Unfortunately.
that.
And then they tell stuff that they don't need to tell us
So
because
much.
they've shown it already.
I think it's
It's like, George.
It's the fact that he kills, Django after he's already disarmed, which, again, could have been what Anakin does. And I love, there's a reaction shot of Dooku seeing that happen, and he's like, wow, that's heavy even for me. I hope that never happens to me. I hope nobody cuts my head off when I'm disarmed, literally. But then also, I realized, in the heat of battle, he wouldn't have, this is just what you would do, but when he just says, pilot, take us closer, I'm like, he's got a number of some kind. He's got a name. He's got a designation. Don't just call him pilot. That's like, hey, cabbie.
When were we supposed to have the introduction?
I don't know, but it just makes him come off so callous.
And especially when you add in the fact that little Boba does the honky with his helmet.
Yeah, he's
I
watching it the
cried.
whole
So
time.
sorry, my baby boy.
Like, there's that episode of the Clone Wars where he infiltrates the cadets to try to assassinate Windu. I'm just on his side. I'm just on Boba's side the whole time in that episode. I'm like, yeah,
Honestly.
blow it up. Blow the whole ship up.
Kinda.
Like, I'm with him.
The Jedi is its own worst enemy, I swear to God.
It's true,
Yeah, that
it's true.
is a very, very large point of this entire trilogy.
Yes, yeah, yep.
And listen, I have major issues with the prequel trilogy as a whole, but I will fully acknowledge that part of why the fan base got so rabid about it is because they were mad that they weren't just getting these characters being cool and awesome. They were mad that they were portrayed as deeply flawed.
They were mad that it was too different, and then later they were mad that it was too the same.
And then they were mad it was too different again, and then they were mad it was too the same, and we
Time is
cannot
a flat
fucking win.
circle.
But if you happen to be a cheesehead like me who didn't actually watch any Star Wars movie entirely until she was also in college and therefore around the same age as Anakin in this movie. Point is, I already had a brain very heavily cooked in Shakespeare and Greek drama by then, so I was like, this is my shit.
That is, I mean, for Star Wars as a whole, but especially the prequels, I think your relationship to it is entirely contextual because there's this reappraisal that's been happening with people who grew up with it, and I think it's a little bit bordering on historical revisionism of like, were these actually masterpieces? I'm like, I wouldn't go that far.
Let's not go
But
that
I'm glad.
far.
I'm just glad they have their audience. I mean, I'd rather spend the day with someone who loves these movies than someone who hates them to the point of, sending bullying and death threats to the cast. But I am of the opinion that they're not that great because I grew up kind of with all six simultaneously, so I kind of saw the compare and contrast, and I was also a kid,
but I'm
so,
I'm that person who'll be like, is the original trilogy as good as you remember it?
That too. That, yes. Is Star Wars in general as good as I remember it? Who knows? That's kind of why we're here.
It probably isn't. Sam, I know you don't really like Empire Strikes Back, but let's face it, we as a fan base in general are constantly chasing the Empire Strikes Back high, and we very rarely get it.
I mean, the fucking Red Letter Media reviews are deeply problematic, but there is the enduring line, because I like Empire so much I fuck it. Like, yeah, that's kind of how people act.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ella. Now I have the visual of somebody taking out a DVD and,
Ew.
All right, look.
Ew.
Sorry I brought it up. But the point being that the idealized Star Wars that people have in their heads maybe doesn't exist.
Yeah, like, this franchise has so much potential to be very awesome and very poignant, but unfortunately it very rarely actually makes it there.
And that's what fan fiction's for.
That's true.
Hell yeah.
That's true. And the expanded universe, I suppose. I think I don't know what particular scene made me cite this, but it all makes the prequels in general just make me think of the line from Futurama of, you can't just have your characters announce how they feel. That makes me feel angry.
Or if you must, it better sound like Shakespeare when you do.
Yes. I love that Obi-Wan, Dex is like, Obi-Wan, take a seat, I'll be right with you. He sits down, and then he immediately has to get back up in order to hug Dexter.
Again, Lucas, I'm so, I realize it's not 100% his fault because he did try to hoist this on someone else, but everybody who said no, we have beef, unfortunately.
Spielberg, we have beef. Zemeckis, we have beef. Ron Howard, we have so much beef.
Maybe Lynch could have directed this one.
I would have been, oh god. I mean, Ellie probably would have loved that.
Padme arrived sealed in plastic.
Ellie is going to have to make me watch David Lynch before I can give you an assessment on whether or not I agree with that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I am still a David Lynch virgin.
Yeah, so am I. It's okay.
You say.
Oh, good lord.
The quote, "I wish that I could just wish away my feelings," is like the headline letterbox quote that I have in my review of this.
I mean, fair.
Iconic. I mean, what more can you say about it?
That is a very 19-year-old thing to say.
Anakin is kind of a mood, unfortunately.
But you know what I fucking love about Anakin throughout this entire fucking movie?
Yeah.
He respects consent.
He does. That's
In
beautiful.
that awkward 19-year-old way. Yeah.
Padme leans in for that kiss too after the sand thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because, he doesn't want to make her. That's not going to
She
feel
tells
good
him
for him.
no, he accepts it, and then they're just fucking enjoying each other's company and being supportive to each other and bonding.
And probably not being quite careful enough, considering they're supposed to be in hiding from an assassination, but they have each other.
Where's the best place to hide? Oh, I know! My family's elaborate summer home that's not near any law enforcement.
Yeah.
You know, what is it with people in this galaxy and hiding people exactly the first place where people would think to look? Hey, you know where we should hide this kid?
Disney's California Adventure.
I always giggle at, one of the true human moments for the Jedi as a whole is when Obi-Wan's, transmit this to Coruscant, carry the old folks home. Like, that's just their nickname for, like, where Mace and Yoda hang out. Which kind of makes me wonder, how old is Mace? Because, like, he's not that old, right? Like, he's obviously kind of second in command next to Yoda in terms of hierarchy in the Jedi, I suppose.
Born 72 BBY, which means he is 50?
Okay, all right.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, the Star Wars calendar is fucking weird because their year 0 is episode 4.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
some BCE, CE
It's
bullshit.
like that
I was
joke in
gonna
the
say.
Henson Show Dinosaurs. You're like, so if this year is 60 million and 2, why is next year 60 million and 1? What are we counting toward?
Oh, God.
No, sorry, that was a weird tangent about how old Mace Windu is.
No, that's fair. I actually really loved that. That was really funny.
Because, calling it the old folks home very kind of self-deprecatingly is very funny.
Yeah, no, you have to understand, my brain has been so rotted by fan fiction because I have to look up so much of this stuff.
That's so fair.
Is this the case where you have to remind yourself which is canon, which is fanon?
Well, it's not just which is canon, which is fanon. It's like, I want to make sure my story is as accurate to this universe as possible because I'm that kind of nerd.
That's fair.
I hear you.
And meanwhile,
I
I'm
hear ya.
over here like I kind of have a Roger Rabbit rules when it comes to Star Wars canon, where I'll accept whatever's funniest. The way that George Lucas kind of offhandedly mentioned that Obi-Wan Kenobi is canonically from the planet Stu-John because he was talking to Jon Stewart at the time.
Yeah, and a large portion of Tumblr fandom has decided that means Stu-John is Space Scotland.
I love that, though.
Yeah, I mean, we
kind
got
of love
Space
that.
Italy, so, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's one thing that I absolutely fundamentally hate in this movie.
Oh, well,
Okay.
hate leads to anger, and anger leads to hate, so do tell.
Well, I mean, I'm curious to see if you guys can guess what it is.
That you hate in this movie. Okay, let me think. Is it the sand scene?
It is not the sand scene. I actually really like the sand scene as kind of a characterization thing for Anakin because,
Oh, it's great on paper.
yeah, it's demonstrating that
Yeah.
Anakin and Padme have very different associations with sand.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating because most of this prequel actually is a fucking masterpiece on paper.
Yeah, most of the movies in this are. Most of this whole trilogy pretty much is.
Yeah, it's all
Okay,
very
so
good
it's
on
not-
paper, and then George
not
tries to
that.
stand it up.
It's not that. Gee.
Okay.
Is it Yoda with a lightsaber?
No, I think Yoda with a lightsaber is really fucking cool.
I guess I'm just sort of,
It
I'm
was
thinking
fun,
of the
and people
most
are
common
stupid.
complaints, but obviously, I mean, you
Yeah.
have a unique perspective on this that I really admire, so I guess I couldn't
Okay.
guess what it is.
Aw.
It's the fucking video game factory scene
Okay,
bullshit.
okay. Yeah.
Ah.
I mean, I don't mind that, because again, I appreciate any time it injects some kinetic energy and it's not just talking, but yeah, it's incredibly...
I mean, I get the kinetic energy of it all, it's just that it feels so much like it's a video game level.
Yeah.
And it's also, Padme is reduced to being so fucking useless in it.
Yeah, very
she
damsel.
can't fight anything off for shit. She gets shoved in this big
In a pot.
jar
yeah.
thing, and then we don't even get the payoff of her and Anakin standing trial in front of Archduke Poggle the Lesser and getting officially sentenced for their crimes, and that's why they're chained up and she has the big love confession and everything.
Yeah, I mean, that scene where Poggle said... I felt that, they cut that. That was heartbreaking.
Yeah, a lot of the action in this movie do feel a little video gamey, and the Obi-Wan and Jango fight feels like a child banging their action figures together.
I like
Not
that
necessarily
scene,
in
if
a
only
bad
because
way,
it gave us that behind-the-scenes shot of Tamora Morrison with the rainbow umbrella kind of tap dancing, like singing in the rain as Jango Fett.
I love
That
that
is so
scene
cute, oh my
too.
God.
My main beef with that scene is that it's kind of hard to see because the storm lights
definitely.
thing. I'm like, you could have put like a little more neon around all this, George.
Which is not a
Ooh,
problem
that
that the
would be
prequels
cool.
tend to have, unlike, say, the modern movies where you can't really see what's
Yeah.
going on. But we get that Marvel-ass, oh, not good. Whoa! Obi-Wan accidentally, harnesses
I
himself.
did laugh at that.
Oh, it's funny. It's great.
Oh, Ewan, you are so much better than this material.
think
Another
someone
one
in
of
the
my
Star
favorite
Wars
quips.
galaxy-
Well, we came
what's
here to
that?
rescue you.
Good job.
She seems to be on
Yes.
top of things.
It's Anakin. Anakin is things.
You're probably right.
No, there was never a question.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And he's very happy about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of pressure in his life. It's nice to just take the pressure off. I think someone in the Star Wars galaxy could make an absolute mint, a fortune. If they invented some sort of homing device detector, where every time you make a narrow escape, your ship will automatically scan for a homing detector or device or beacon or something. You'd think people would have invented that by now, because everybody seems to get tracked without realizing it.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't have that really cool... I do actually really like the scene in the asteroid belt with the sonic bombs.
Oh, that sound effect.
It's so cool.
And, that is honestly one moment where I do think the poetry sort of rhyming, I think it actually does work in that scene. We got the asteroid
Because
field.
Boba remembers it, and he uses it in Empire.
Yes. As
does.
well as the Falcon sticking to the ship and
Yeah.
sticking to the asteroid, and then
Which
it
honestly
all works.
kind of makes me wonder if it would have then made more sense for Obi-Wan to be the one who killed Jango, but then, there wouldn't be, payoff for it in the original trilogy, because
Yeah.
Obi-Wan would be dead before we ever saw Boba.
Yeah.
I mean, gotta say, shout out to baby Daniel Logan. He was actually doing a bang-up job with what little he had.
Yeah, there's something very powerful about a kid who opens the door and has, 2 single-word lines and is still pulling off a massive amount of charisma.
Wasn't there that story behind the scenes where
Yes.
he couldn't get the line read right of, you're supposed to be kind of suspicious of Obi-Wan, you don't really know what his intentions are, and I don't remember if it couldn't have been George. Who was it that said?
It was
It was
Ewan.
Ewan, yeah. It was to act like he just smelled a fart, and then he does, and he pulls it off. And that shows
Yeah.
that Ewan should have directed this movie.
Honestly, I kind of want to see him direct a Star Wars. I think that'd be neat.
Yeah.
There is
Totally.
so much stuff where it's why didn't X person direct this? I want to see the
Yeah.
R-rated cut of the dinner scene that apparently exists. Apparently when George let Hayden
Oh.
and Natalie go
Whoa.
at it,
Whoa.
they got filthy real quick.
She ate more than that pair.
I love them, Your Honor.
Yeah,
You're my
yeah,
emotional
bless her.
support doomed romance.
Yeah. Listen, you got Annie Dalla, I got Lucy Gray, and I imagine that Lucy Gray and Padme have brunch in heaven every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also one of the reasons that I enjoy making this joke about Wish. On a scale of Queen Amaya to Padme Amidala, how do you handle your husband falling to the dark side and going after a bunch of children in the search of more power?
Queen Amaya always kind of looked like Padme to me, at least a little bit.
It's the buns. The
It's the
hairstyle,
buns.
anytime anybody has that hairstyle now, it's automatically associations with Leia, which was absolutely why they put Padme in the buns.
Oh, 100%. They had to. They were required.
We missed out on NSYNC being in the movie, of course.
What?
Yep, they were going to be Jedi.
George's daughters were fans of NSYNC, so he wanted to do a background cameo for them, but then they got cut.
Which is kind of similar to on Gravity Falls, that Alex Hirsch got Lance Bass as, in several times just for his sister's sake.
I mean, Lance Bass is always down to clown, and I love that for
That's
him.
true. He'll go to space or whatever, and
Yeah.
I think it was
But no.
it was a SAG thing that they couldn't go that their scenes got
Possibly.
cut. Yeah.
And what's so funny is that they literally have a song that I have literally considered doing a Han Solo edit to space. It's literally about space cowboys. Y-I-I, yippee-I-A, yippee-I-O, yippee-I-A.
Oh, we didn't talk about Count Dooku yet. What do we have to say
No,
about him?
we did not,
Maybe
which is a
because
crime.
he's just too fucking awesome?
Yeah, he's great. I have no complaints about Count Dooku other than I wish there was more of him because I love Christopher Lee so much.
Yeah,
and
Christopher Lee is great. And honestly, a part of me wishes that Dooku had been the big bad from the jump from Phantom Menace.
like no Maul.
Partially
That
so
would've
that
made a lot
Maul
of
would
sense.
not be in the picture, but also just because I too want more of Christopher Lee. And how iconic, do you have to be to basically rule the 2000s as the
That's true.
primary general of the
But
bad guy?
who dies at the beginning of the third movie of the of the
Tudor
trilogy.
Nichols!
Yeah, two Nichols.
Crazy. We could have had Dooku and Darth Maul. I will say I do have one complaint about him. His fucking name.
Yeah.
Okay, which name, Dooku or Tyrannus?
I like
Tyrannus is awesome.
Yeah.
Tyrannus is awesome. No notes. But you named your villain shit, basically.
Dooku. Count Poopy.
George.
And also the idea that that was his name when he was a Jedi too. Like he was just Dooku.
Yeah, I would probably turn too if that was my name.
I mean, we're talking about the same movie where we're like, yes, we love that the character is named Elon Sliz Bagano.
Yeah, because that's a good name.
And that's a character that's not really supposed to have any dignity.
But that's the thing, you get Christopher Lee and suddenly Dooku becomes kind of menacing and gives you chills.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
to a degree, but I feel like we could do better for someone as infamously badass as
With
Christopher
the
fucking
gravitas,
Lee.
yeah, and he doesn't really, he's used kind of sparingly for a while in this, and then we get to, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is Obi-Wan captured and Dooku just kind of laying it all out for him. It almost feels like he's like, look, no one's listening. I'm gonna make a genuine, extension of honesty to you and try to just kind of get out of Dodge here, which is
Obi-Wan's
kinda,
response, "You're not my real grandfather!"
Yeah, which is kind of similar to what, Vader's whole plea in Empire Strikes Back, where it's like,
Oh yeah.
the Sith are all about, backstabbing each other. So it's like, hey, you and me, we can kill the bigger guy and we can just rule together. And, it's his genuine intention. That's his hope. He's not just trying to get him to turn evil for the sake of it. It's like, hey, I think this is the way out for both of our sakes. And that's kind of what Dooku's saying here.
We're kind of buddies still, right?
Yeah. Part of it is also, I think, that Christopher Lee had some physical limitations during filming, so
True.
they were also having to pioneer digital face insertion technology
Oh,
for
okay.
some of his stunts and stuff. And, part of the reason why his lightsaber hilt is curved the way it is so that it was easier for Lee to grasp it.
I do like the idea that it's ergonomic, Kenobi. You would feel a lot better if you used it too.
I mean, I see it. I see the vision.
Yeah, but no, I like that he's just laying it all out for him. He's like, look, we can destroy the Sith together. And then obviously once he says no, he's like, well, it might be difficult to secure your release at this point. I don't know. Like, he's so good in that scene.
Yeah,
And of course-
I especially love that part when it's him and Anakin fighting and the red and the blue is flashing back and forth. That was fucking cool.
Yeah. What if I told you that the entire Senate was now under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith? Nah, we detect it, even though we've admitted that our ability to use the Force has been clouded by the dark side. We'd totally know if that were the case.
It's not like there's been a major change in the position of power in the Senate or anything.
Yeah.
It's not like there's some motherfucker
No, but
who's
it's
just
okay,
like,
because he said he's going to give up the emergency powers as soon as this crisis is over.
He loves democracy, guys.
Why would a politician lie to me?
Dello Felligans.
never mind the fact literally they had spent half the movie talking about how the Jedi are inherently suspicious of politicians.
Uh-huh. Yep. Nope. Nothing.
Oh,
no,
but Master,
no
I don't
detected.
want to talk about money and politics. I want to dream about Padme. Honestly, Anakin is kind of representative of this movie's target audience.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Poor Dooku, though, man. I mean, watching that Tales of the Jedi series really kind of cements,
Yeah.
how done dirty he was through the circumstances of this entire Palpatine stuff. He deserved
Retconning do be
a lot
like
better.
that.
Sad but true.
I mean, yeah, I don't even. Is it retconning or is it just sort of fleshing out?
Well, retconning is abbreviation of retroactive continuity, so
I mean, it doesn't contradict anything, though, necessarily.
Well, no, but, like...
But it is retroactive, yeah, that's true.
Even the act of creating a prequel is its own form of retconning.
Yeah, alright, yeah, that's fair, yeah.
Like,
That is true.
I can't even remember now if there's been material that has reconciled the whole Galen Erso making the Death Star versus the plans came from the Geonosians.
Oh, yeah, I have a note that says, we stand here amidst critics' achievement, not Puggles!
I don't think we needed the Death Star to be that overtly acknowledged. Like, I think it was enough that we had the big, round war machine things.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
those look familiar.
Because it also kind of implies that the Death Star was, like, his end game, when it was clearly just kind of another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense, given what we're going to see in Episode 3 of how far the Death Star is along, but...
Which is weird, which also doesn't really mesh with Andor and stuff like that.
Yeah, there is so much wonky continuity around this fucking Death Star.
No, this was the Death Star. This is Starkiller Base. Different, bigger, see?
God. Poetry, it rhymes, something.
R2 just fucking kills C-3PO in this. Like, he just pushes him and doesn't really care. I love that.
Yeah, but he also does surgery on his husband.
Yeah, no, they fall in love very quickly in this, because, he says, oh, R2, he's always getting himself into trouble, like he's known him for years at this point. They just fell in love
They
that
take
quickly.
after their parents.
That's true,
Yeah.
that's true.
Oh my god, you're so right.
And you know what? He flies now.
They fly
Oh god.
How do we feel about that? How do we feel about flying R2?
Oh, I think it's adorable.
It's
Of
cute,
course.
yeah.
I
Listen-
enjoy R2 being the MVP of this series.
Absolutely. And have I ever told you, Sam, that according to my father, in Spanish translations, or at least the ones that he saw as a child, they pronounce it Arturito,
Yep,
which is the
yep.
cutest damn
that
thing.
is the cutest thing. Alana brought it up, but used the English translation of calling him Little Arthur, and I was like, wait, what?
I think
And
I saw a
Abby had
video
to
of...
explain it to me.
Yeah, I think I saw a video of Diego
Oh.
Luna explaining that.
Yep. So
Next to him saying how much I want to feel the texture of Jabba. I really want to...
Yeah. The less I think about Diego Luna's interest in
Jabba
Jabba the Hutt,
fixation.
the better.
Yeah.
yeah, please no. But I will say this is why I will not accept any humanized R2D2s that aren't just this nerdy looking Latino man.
Little Arthur, yeah. When 3PO is just getting tortured, and just goes, I'm so confused. I'm like, yeah, real. That's just me watching this scene.
I mean, 3PO never knows what's going on.
He's just trying his best. 3PO was not supposed to come
Yeah.
along on this. 3PO is like if you drags the bartender from the tavern on your session 1 of the D&D campaign with you.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I love 3PO. I will defend 3PO with my life.
I'm like, why did he leave with them?
It is never fucking explained.
I guess maybe he was in the will or something? Was he in Shmi's?
And also, let's face it, the real non-in-universe reason is because you had to have the thing that everybody like in the thing.
I guess. And I love R2
I mean,
and 3PO more
that
than...
is also kind of why Shmi was still on Tatooine. It's like, because she hasn't met the Larses yet, so there's no
Yeah.
way that Luke can have an uncle unless
Yeah.
Shmi stays behind.
And
I mean, there's also just the possibility of, he just calls them uncle and aunt. People do that.
Oh, like, what if they weren't actually his family, and then it would make sense to hide him there? Yeah.
That's for December. That's for
Yeah,
December,
fair.
I think.
Yeah.
R2 and 3PO are probably my favorite Star Wars characters ever. But I will fully cop to the
Rightfully.
fact that they probably shouldn't have been in this trilogy, at least not in the same capacity that they are.
I mean, R2's worth keeping around. It's really 3PO who's...
It's just so odd that they have them just do the same stuff that they're doing later, because then they have to do that awkward memory wipe thing, and it just doesn't... Not only does it not track, but it's not really worth it, because I don't think they do enough to justify their presence in these movies. Particularly
Yeah.
the droid factory scene, I think, makes that kind of evident, where they just have to have this head swap thing just to give them something to do.
It is kind of funny, though, like, when 3PO's like, die, Jedi scum!
No,
What
that's
am I
great.
saying?
I do love that.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm terribly sorry about all this, no, dear. Excuse me, yes, I'm trapped. I can't get up. If you... I think the droid factory scene also made me realize how much digital zoom there is in this movie, how much zoom is added in post, and it's so
Yeah.
distracting. R.I.P. Padme's crotch when she jumps on that.
And
creature.
Anakin's crotch.
Yes.
It's a wonder they were able to have the twins.
Which is only lending further credence to my theory that George does not know how babies are made.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I wanted Anakin to just go, like, when they toss him a new lightsaber and it's green, he's just, oh, what? I wanted the blue one!
Yeah, it's also him going, oh, Obi-Wan's gonna kill me when his lightsaber gets broken. I'm now picturing Hayden Christensen and David Tennant doing, like, a scene of Anakin with Huyang.
Yeah.
Like, back again, are we, Master Skywalker?
This time it got swallowed by a Gondark, alright? Not my fault.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough. This was his, I believe, 27th saber. Kind of makes that less special, but you know.
Oh no, this one's still special. It's the one he killed a decreasing number of children with, because every time they make a new Star Wars thing, it's Anakin missed another one!
Yeah, watching Revenge of the
true.
Sith in theaters was like, execute Order 66, kill all the Jedi except for the following.
Okay, well, since we are looking that far ahead to the future, I think it is time to settle down and ask the question, is the Force with it?
Well,
I've softened my initial opinion that this is the worst thing ever, but it's still not terribly good. I had a little bit of fun with it, but not enough that I would probably ever watch it outside of trying to watch the entire Skywalker saga or for future podcasts, so I'm gonna have to go with no.
well, at the end of the day, while this film did give us the Lego Yoda death noise, that being it did also give us the worst level in any of the Lego Star Wars games, which is the gunship level. So, you know, unfortunately, I don't think the Force is with this one. Although the last note I have on here about the actual film is that C-3PO and R2-D2 were not guests at Anakin and Padme's wedding. They were just waiting in line to be married next.
True.
Aww.
And that's
canon
really cute.
accepted.
Also, I did forget. I love everything about the wedding scene. That is another reason I think the Force is with it, because I love that it's Padme holding on to Anakin's metal hand and accepting all of him, and I love her dress, and I love that they end the movie looking out over a sunset into a galaxy that is facing a very imminent danger, just like their kids do in Empire Strikes Back. For that reason, and
it's a good way to reveal the hand. Yeah, I like that.
Force is with it for me. Force is with it for me.
And I respect that. I respect that very much.
I do get it.
I think it's honestly a more dour ending than Revenge of the Sith in a lot of ways, because Revenge of the Sith has that kind of almost aggressively hopeful, you know, New Hope tie-in ending, whereas this is just like...
Yeah, because it's like,
things are kind of
it's
bad.
Okay, guys, you know where this is going.
Yeah, whereas this is just like, hey, Imperial March, you know?
Imperial March, Duel of the Fates. Everything is doomed.
Palpatine looking all sinister like.
And yet, I still have a soft spot for it, so...
I get it. I think it is my favorite prequel. I think this kind of cemented it as that, but...
Okay.
Who has Pluggables?
Well, I am the host of In Each Retelling, the podcast where we explore all the ways old tales are made new. We will get out of this hiatus within the next month, I promise. And Faye reviewer on all the socials.
I'm Ella Chesri. I act and sing and draw and animate and do podcasts, one of them being Mystery Shack Look Back, which is a Gravity Falls podcast, so we know all about hiatuses, and that is done with my good friends Charlie Marlowe and Shelby Sessler. Find that wherever you find your podcasts. Another one that's on hiatus that we'll pick back up is The Matrix Reclamations, which I mentioned earlier in this episode, that I do with my friend Hope Lickner. What else do I do? Something that is on YouTube now is Alien Maternity, which is a parody musical that I directed and co-wrote with a bunch of my friends, and I'm particularly proud of it. It's, you know, a gay, trans, you know, musical set in the Alien universe about parenthood, and it's got a bunch of song parodies from Broadway, and, you know, it's a cute little thing. Thank you very much. So, yeah, and also, May the 4th be with you, and also with you.
And with your Force Ghost.
And in the spirit of Star Wars, to be there for the people who need us, this episode's mutual fund spotlight goes to the Immigrant Defense Project. IDP fights to end the current era of unprecedented mass criminalization, detention, and deportation of immigrants through a multi-pronged strategy that includes advocacy, litigation, legal advice and training, community defense, grassroots alliances, and strategic communications. The link can be found in the description for this podcast, as well as on my various socials under my handle, Demisem. Our theme music is provided by Refractory Period, the two girls, one beat synth pop sensation. You can follow them on Instagram at Refractory Period, the band. To further support this podcast, please subscribe to us on your platform of choice, leave reviews, and share with your friends to boost our visibility, and consider joining our Patreon. And now, it's time to turn to the Chance Cube to decide where our journey takes us next.
Oh, a 1?
It is a 1, which means our next one is Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters. We'll see you next time to cover that. Until then, stay safe, stay strong, stay beautiful, and may the 4th be with you. Have a very safe Revenge of the 6th.